Hey guys, it's Abby here. I wanted to do a little chat about on the topic of what do we do to relax if we're having a stressful day. And we touched upon this a little bit, but I would like to kind of talk about some of my favorite things I do, unusual things, and maybe give you ideas if you're struggling with that yourself. I haven't written a script for this, so I'm sure I'll have to edit out some pauses as I try to think clearly. It's really cold still, so I have to say my brain is only functioning at about 50% of its normal capabilities. But when I'm wanting to de-stress and relax, some of the things that I do all year round, not just in the winter, I work with my hands. I have a lot of hands-on activities, different crafts and arts, and that, if paired correctly with the right audio for me to listen to, that can really take my mind off of whatever is stressing me out or just general nerves that I tend to carry around with me most of the time. So, for instance, some of the things I like to do digital art, though I have to say that's not quite my favorite form. It's more of a means to an end. I work on some techniques, with it, but it's not my true love in terms of the art world. Right now, and for the past, I want to say 2 years, I have been very into inking. That is taking art images, often non-ink form art images, such as paintings and things like that from one of my favorite artists for subject matter, but also other images off the internet and out of books, things like that. And copying the image onto printer paper and then using my light table. It's like a light table from, it was my mom's, so it could have been from, it was probably at least from the 90s or 80s, maybe older, I don't know, but it's been around as long as I can remember. So I would work on that. I replaced the bulb with an LED because the other one got a little bit warm for my liking. Also then the bulb was a little bit brighter. But I'll dim the lights in my craft room and get out my ink pens, my different kinds of ink pens, and I'll just start inking away. I guess I didn't explain how I use my light table. So you put the base image down, and then you put another piece of paper over it, the one that you want to actually ink onto, to make the ink rendition of whatever that piece of art is. And I've done this as gifts, mostly, for other people, as well as some art for myself, though not nearly as much for myself as I would like. I love making gifts for other people, but there are several subjects that I would like some art for, and I've just been kind of lazy about it because I don't know, I'm always more motivated to make something for someone else and see their excitement than to make it for myself. It's kind of silly. But yeah, so the lights are dim and I've got this beautiful shining image in front of me, and I use my ink pens. And recently I've started using dip brush inking, and I have to say I really, really like it. It's a lot smoother in the sense of, yes, you have to stop and dip your pen and get ink, and I'm still working on that, how much ink I need to do certain techniques on the paper. But it's nice because you don't have to constantly switch to a different pen. If you want to do a finer line, you just have to hold the brush differently, press a little bit differently, let the bristles trail along the paper to slightly variations. And yeah, I really find it soothing and cathartic and meditative. And that task I usually pair with something relaxing. Otherwise, I might get a little stressed out over how many lines I have to make to match up with an image, especially if it's an image with a lot of block out black, which I tend to gravitate towards because that's what I like in art. I like a lot of high contrast. I should probably branch out and try different techniques more. I have been trying to do variations on the saturation of the ink, and I don't know if I love the effect, but I'm learning. It's a learning curve for everything. So that's one of the things I like to do. It really engages my hands and my brain and my eyes and my ears, because I'll listen to something while I'm doing it. A lot of my relaxation techniques involve listening to the right voice, which is why I think I gravitate towards making ASMR, just in case you find my voice relaxing or comforting. Again, I've still got a respiratory illness and I'm fighting off. That's why my voice is a little, it's just not quite right. Right? It doesn't sound exactly like me. And I'm recording this on my phone because, again, I'm lazy. I have a wonderful microphone and I probably will set it up soon and do a little bit more formal recording. But I just like to sit on my couch or in my bed and just have a chat over the phone. It makes me feel relaxed, and I never stress about what I'm going to say. So I guess actually one of the things I use to de-stress is make these conversations. To have someone there listening is a comfort. So thank you for that. And it also makes me feel more relaxed by trying to help you relax. I kind of build that space for you, and in that way, I build it for myself. Another thing I like to do, I do many other crafts. Sewing can be very relaxing. It can also be really stressful. It depends on the deadline and the project I've taken on. I like making clothes more than sewing other things, and so usually if the project is going smoothly, I get a lot of satisfaction from a finished piece. I'm not an amazing seamstress by any means. I've taught myself almost everything, or from YouTube. I've had a little bit of education, and not education, but I've had people help me with the basics of a sewing machine, but beyond that, everything is just me kind of like, well, how do I do this? And I look it up on YouTube. YouTube is a wonderful resource. So doing a craft like that you're producing something that then you're getting to put on your body, I don't know, that it can be really relaxing if it works out. If you put in a lot of time and effort into the project and it doesn't work out, that can be a bit of a bummer. But I think the journey is still satisfying. The sound of a sewing machine, I kind of take out some of my aggression when I'm sewing too, because you can ramp up the speed, and it's like and that can be nice. Let's see, what else? I don't actually find reading that relaxing anymore. I do like to read, but I get so invested so quickly in whatever it is I'm reading that emotionally I don't necessarily feel relaxed. I feel involved, and I can use it as an escape for my own life to some extent, if I can, focus up long enough to get into the plot. But I have found that if I read at night before I go to bed, that time is a lot less stressful than if I try to read during the day when I've got other things on my mind and on my plate. So maybe if you're not a reader now, but you want to get into it and to use it as a stress reliever, try a different time of day that works better for you. Maybe in the morning, maybe in the evening, maybe mid-afternoon, maybe after you've had your coffee, or, before you go to bed. Whatever works for you. We have to be adaptable. Our brains are very individual, and they're very unique, and that means we have to pay attention to what's working for us and not worry about what works for other people. I often get caught up in what should I do? What should I be? How should I be? What do other people do? How are they? And it's absurd, really, because I actually pride myself on being a very unique person and just giving into those weird idiosyncrasies that make me who I am and not the person next to me, right? Not someone else in my family or a friend or my significant other or, my son. Like, I am who I am because of my weird little things that make up my personality. And as long as those things are not harmful to myself or harmful to someone else, why shouldn't I enjoy them? I don't have to conform. I don't have to fit in. I just have to be me. And the same goes for you. I give you permission. As long as you're not harming yourself or someone else, be weird. It's okay. Let's see, other things I do to de-stress. Well, I obviously listen to ASMR in various forms. I usually do that if I'm trying to wind down for the day, though, because it makes me very sleepy. And it's hard to feel motivated after I've listened to a really good voice talking wonderfully to me. Though sometimes if I have to work on a difficult project, sometimes a house project or, a big sewing project or a big art or craft project that has me a little stressed out, I will often put on an ASMR channel that I am very familiar with. Like, I've heard those specific videos over and over and over. And I will listen to those, and it's like background white noise at this point because I've heard them so many times. But it definitely de-escalates any anxiety before it starts to kick in if I run into an issue. But listen to your brain before you put those on, because you also don't want to sabotage them. Sorry, my nose is stuffy. You don't want to sabotage those beautiful audios that you rely on to relax by combining them with something very, very stressful, and then you translate that stress into the video. Be careful of that. If it's not working for you, try something else. Listen to something else. Listen to some music. That's just a tip, hot tip, because I've had to be careful of that. Let's see, what else do I like to do? Okay, so I don't know if this exactly de-stresses me, but sometimes it can. If I'm feeling really jittery, like, I don't know, the day I'm just jittered up, right? Like you wake up like this, and you don't know what the heck's going on. Maybe I had too much caffeine, or I'm nervous or excited about something that's not that actual day, and I'm just getting keyed up for it. I will go thrift shopping. And sometimes I don't even buy anything. I just like to look through things and hunt for treasure. And I'll do this at the bin stores, like Goodwill Outlet. And it's you're just digging through other people's stuff, and to me, it's somewhat cathartic because I'm saying no to most of it, most everything. And so it's kind of releasing some of that consumerism and that materialism. And you're really honing in on what do I actually need to improve my living situation. That could be storage ideas, decor, craft supplies, things like that. And you have to make a lot of decisions, but instead of the decisions being high stakes or stressful, did I just say stressful? Stressful. They're very low key. If I decide, no, I don't want to take this mug home, it's not going to break me. And if I decide to take it home and I paid 45 cents for it, I can always donate it back. I didn't waste any large amount of money, and yet I get to try it out. I like that relaxed, fast-paced decision making. It makes me feel like I can make snap decisions about other things and kind of gives me confidence in executive functioning department. So I don't know if this would work for you or not. It might actually lead to like hoarding tendencies because I have to be careful of that. I do like to collect things, but it's also easy for me to get rid of stuff. Like, I don't really have emotional attachment to things for the most part. So kind of figure that out about yourself before you dive into thrifting, if you haven't already. Like, see if it's actually a healthy pastime, if you're able to, if you bring new things into your home, can you get rid of old things that you aren't really using? Can you make that exchange? Test that out carefully, because it is a rabbit hole you can kind of dive down. And yeah, I've done it. I used to do it when I was younger, and more naive and more exuberant. I would just get so excited about what I'd found, that it was beautiful and interesting and unique. And now I don't do that quite as much. My purchases tend towards functional and improvement of some kind, skill-based improvement. And I'm actually kind of focusing on that this year as kind of a goal, to just constantly be, if I'm going to be buying something used, or a non-used item, if I'm bringing something new into my home, is it going to be improving my living situation in some way, making something easier or, more fun? Prettier, I guess, to some extent, if I don't already have something like it. But I'm not just going to go and buy cute little knickknacks that I think are adorable, because I already have a lot of those. I have those and they're on display, and some of them I'm even phasing out. Oh, I'm also, I don't know, I'll tell you this, but don't hold me to it, because I don't know if I can. This time of year, it's easy to say this. And it's easy to say this in November and December. But come June, it gets a lot harder. And what I'm speaking of is Halloween decor. I love a spooky thing. I feel like I'm phasing out the traditional Halloween decor, the orange and black, green, cream colored things. I have a lot of those. And I only really like displaying those specific items. They're very in your face. Halloween, right around Halloween, September, October. But I like a spooky item, a hint of spooky. But I think what I'm going to hold myself to is, if I bring anything else into the home that's a spooky item, it has to be an all year round spooky item that I can decorate with, because that's kind of my vibe, is a little bit unhinged but elegant. And so I'm only going to bring things like that in, and they have to be worth the space they take up. They cannot just be, oh, this is pretty cool, and I'm worried someone else will want it, and so I should get it before it's gone. That is the Halloween hunter's bane. It gets us a lot of cool things, but then we overbuy. And if this probably exists for other people too, people who are interested in like Christmas and things like that. I'm sure it's the same kind of battle, but that's my goal. Okay. Now, unfortunately, Halloween decor hunting officially starts usually in June and goes all the way through October. That's a lot of months to be hunting, but I'm going to tell myself I'm not going to go out every day to look at things. I know that sounds insane, and I'm telling you this because I know there's other people that do insane things too, and I don't feel bad about that. But I don't need to buy that much this year because I've already established my collection, and I'm even getting kind of annoyed at some of the things, so I've gotten rid of some things. But there are some purchases, I don't want to go too in depth in this, but maybe I'll make another audio of my spooky year-round items that I have out in case anyone's interested in that, or, find it relaxing, boring, that kind of thing. But I do have a few pieces that I love to have out, and they fit so beautifully in my home, and they're just a little spooky, and it's great. I'm also a DIYer, so that urge to DIY something really cool or modify something is almost perfect, it's strong. And I think I'm going to let myself do that more this year because it does engage my brain a little bit more. My creativity gets used, and I get to explore avenues that haven't already been done in stores. So I think that's what I'm going to do this year. And I'm going to tell myself, this is your budget, and I'm going to stick to it, and I'm going to return anything that I don't absolutely love. I have to love this thing. Like, I have to see it, and the endorphins just rage through my brain. I don't even know if these things really exist. I do have some things that I've already bought that's kind of how I feel about them. So I think I'm going to have to hold every new purchase up to these previous ones that have kind of like stood the test of time. Now, I thrift. So sometimes when I'm really stressed out during those months, June and July, August, September, October, that's a lot of months to be hunting. That's why I have to be careful. If I'm stressed out during those times, I will look at Halloween things maybe once a day. Just pop into my local store or two and just kind of get a boost of like, oh, that's a cool idea. And thrift stores can be problematic because they have a lot of things and you can afford a lot more there. But I don't, and I get kind of dragged in with the vintageness of it or the nostalgia. But I've realized a lot of the styles from the vintage and the nostalgia don't even fit with my particular style. And so I think that means I have to steer clear of thrifting, and probably mostly the box stores too. I mean, it's going to be so hard. But maybe if I give myself like 4 really awesome, intricate projects this year to kind of devote my brain to, I won't have all that creative energy to spill out into the shopping part. Oh, how many of you have something that you love to shop for and it gets you in trouble? I mean, you've got to have something, right? I mean, sometimes I would say my significant other, his is food, like a beverage even, just like a nice beverage on the run. Oh my gosh, it gets us in trouble. Me, food is good. I do like food, but I think it's definitely pretty things. And I've said this before, but pretty things hit different. Just gorgeous, luscious things. Things with gold. Oh my gosh, I love gold. I used to hate gold when I was younger. I actively despised gold. You know how when we're like teenagers and we're so opinionated, or like even like in college and we're like, oh my gosh, that's such a terrible metal color. Like, I only wear silver. It was ridiculous. I could have worn both silver or gold and it would have been no big deal. But I hated gold, and now I like surround myself with little touches of gold everywhere. Little like beautiful, sparkly, shiny little flecked things around me, and it just makes me so happy when I see a little bit of gold on something. I mean, right now I'm just looking around my sitting room that I've decorated, and the theme is like Wicked Garden. So it's florals, and they're kind of like warm pastels, I'd say, with teals and some lime greens thrown in there and some purples. It's a lot of color, actually. But I've got like this mirror that I found thrifting, of course, for $5. Okay, it was $5. And this mirror is gorgeous. I want to say it's a resin-based mirror. I don't think it's wood. I think it's too ornate to be wood, especially for $5. But it looks beautiful. And it has these like motifs. It's an oval shaped mirror and has motifs all the way, these intricate motifs that are like you can see through, like they're cut out, and it's all gold and it's so pretty and I love looking at it. So I put it just across from the angle of the couch, which I lay out on when I want to relax with my cat so that I can look up and see the mirror. And then I've got gold frames. I've got artwork from Home Goods. I love Home Goods artwork sometimes. If I'm going to buy something new and that's really striking and a bigger piece that's still kind of affordable for me, I like to look at Home Goods. And I found these beautiful pieces. They feature a very shiny gold background, and the frames are black, and then what overlaid on the gold background are the, not even quite silhouettes, but the cutouts of these ladies with flowers over their heads and their eyes, and they're gorgeous. They're so beautiful. I think of them as like wood nymphs, and like they could be a little bit mischievous, but also they're like just so beautiful. And they're some of my favorite art pieces I've ever found, actually. And I found them all at different times, and now I've got 3 of them in a line, and it's like an art gallery in here. My favorite is one where the person is turned away and you see her shoulder, and it's a smaller piece, but the other 2 are also beautiful. If I find another one, I'm definitely going to buy it. I don't know if they're producing any more of them, but if I find one more, I'm going to put it up. I have one more place where it could go, and then I will be full up on my walls. Anyway, how'd I get on this topic? I thought we were talking about things that relax me. Well, looking at pretty art does, especially kind of the portrait kind of art. I love portraits, even if you're not specifically looking at their face, but you're looking at their overall presence created by their, how they're dressed, or you don't have to actually see their face for me. I could be looking at the fabrics of their clothes, or the color of their skin, the things that they're wearing in their hair. Maybe those aren't considered portraits anymore, but they are like human studies, and those I think are my favorite pieces of art I've ever seen. I'm always drawn to the pieces that focus on the human element, but like the human element as an aesthetic. I love paintings of beautiful dresses and clothing. Oh my gosh, I love it. I think this comes from when I wanted to be a fashion designer. I was a little girl, basically. I stopped wanting to do it when I graduated high school, and I realized it was going to be more work than I wanted to put into a field that was more cutthroat than I wanted to be in. But I did love the idea of fashion design, and I was obsessed with textiles and all of that. And I still love to go look at fabrics and just like touch them, like run your hands over them, imagine what you'd make with them or how they'd lay on your body. I guess that's another thing I like to do when I'm stressed. I like to go to craft stores and look at specific departments. So these are all very me-centered things, but you could apply it to yourself. If there's something you're fascinated by, go and rollick in it, go spend some time just looking at it, absorbing it, paying attention. Let your brain just melt into that zone. It can feel so nice and really take the edge off of a day. I like to light candles. I've said that. But I also like to go and smell candles. I love to go and smell different candles. It is a big risk, though, because if you go into a place that's semi-affordable in terms of candles, right, like Home Goods or TJ Maxx or something, they're not that expensive, really, compared to lots of other places. And they have a lot of them, and they smell so good. and they're really pretty. They're so beautiful. I have a lot of candles. I actually had to like package them up so that I wasn't seeing them all the time, so that I knew I had a supply of candles to draw from and it would be like new and fresh, and so that I'd stop buying them. And so I just go to my stash of candles. I also find it hard because the only time I really burn candles is when I'm in the bath. I realize I just don't light them any other time because I'm just not in one room long enough to enjoy them and like make sure my cat doesn't light his tail on fire or something like that. So I only do that when I'm taking a bath, and I'll usually like 3 that kind of go together because I like the light, but I also like the smell. But that means they last a long time, and so I can't get new ones unless I want to leave these partial candles lit. What do you guys do about that? Like, you have partial candles. Do you just keep cycling them through, or do you force yourself to like finish the candle out? It takes a long time if it's a good candle. I've had some candles last me like years because I just didn't light them as much, and that means like worthwhile, right? But I mean, I was ready for a new scent, a new color, a new appearance. I guess in the grand scheme of things, candles are not the worst thing I could put my money towards, because I could, I can reuse the containers because I'm crafty like that, and they give me a lot of relaxation. They kind of change how I'm perceiving the day and the room I'm in. So yeah, I guess that's fine. I'll tell myself that. I also like to go to bookstores. That's another big one. Used bookstores, and regular bookstores. I like Barnes and Noble right now. I'm kind of into them. I don't really buy a lot of books there, but I do like to go just kind of browse the shelves. It feels very magical there. It appeals to my too much gene, my maximalism. But I do like old books, and so finding old books, that can be really stress relieving. But again, I'm bringing things into my home, and I'm preserving, history, I guess, literary history. But I gotta stop doing that so much. I gotta do more with my brain, which I am proud of myself. I have been writing like a machine on my book series. I mean, we're only on book 1, but I count it because I'm planning out all these other aspects that come later. So I still call it the book series. But I've been writing much more efficiently lately. Kind of got that dialed in. And I think if I can really power through, I might be almost on track with my goal of getting through chapter 3 by the end of this month. I think I'm actually 1 chapter behind, but Christmas was such a crazy time. I didn't get to get nearly as far as I wanted to with that. And I've been sick, so I'm kind of giving myself some grace there. And I'm going to say, okay, get through chapter 3 this month, and make sure you've added all the additional things in the previous chapters that need to be there. And then move on to chapter 4. Because if I stay on track like that, some of the other chapters might be shorter too. I don't know. I don't have a lot of faith in that because I tend to write long. I always have. I love to write. I love words. But so we'll see how long that takes me to get through. But I'm at a good pace right now. I mean, I've sped up a lot. I'm cruising. And yeah, so I think I will be making good progress, and I'll keep you posted about that. Not that you're that interested, but you can cheer me on the sidelines as I keep trucking along. Yeah, so let's see, what else do I do to relax? I mean, there's obviously things that I can't talk about on YouTube, but that's for another type of channel. Patreon. But yeah, sometimes just going and doing physical exercise of any kind, whatever suits you, can really help relax your body and your brain, because you kind of get out of your stress zone if you're doing the right things, and you can kind of just focus on what your body's feeling and doing, and that can be really cathartic. So yeah, any kind of physical activity. Some is sometimes more fun than others, but doing something that you love to do. Like, I like to row when my breathing is okay. When my breathing is struggling, it's a lot harder to do rowing. But when I'm in good form, I like to do rowing because it feels very aggressive but smooth at the same time. And then I'm seated, so I don't have to worry about what are my feet doing, because I don't know. I feel like my feet are just like attached to me, but like they do their own thing. I don't think I have control over them. I try, but it really doesn't. It doesn't show. Yeah, so finding something that helps you exert yourself on your environment, on your world, I think that can take a lot of stress out of your body that we hold in, because we're in these jobs where we're just, like we're sitting a lot, or we're holding back, not saying what we mean, we're not doing what we want to, and it can make us feel tense and stressed. And sometimes we're not sleeping well, and all these things add up to tension in the body. So doing something physically that lets you exert yourself and deplete yourself and kind of run yourself ragged in the best way, I think it's very good for your health. So that's just another idea to put out there for de-stressing. Go to the gym or other things. And that doesn't automatically mean with another person, by the way, as a gym partner or otherwise. You can do it all by yourself. Yeah, so what else do I do? I don't know. Those are the big things I can think of. And hopefully this conversation has bored you to tears and you're just falling asleep or feeling so relaxed. Hopefully my voice is tolerable right now. I know it's not my best work, and I will be using my microphone to maybe help the quality come out, but I'm a lazy bean. I like to just sit here on my phone, and that's all I have to worry about, and I just transfer it over, and then I edit it, and that's what we do. I will get back on to the role plays. I will, but given my voice quality, it kind of feels like a waste of time. Maybe it's not. Maybe you guys have a vote on that, if you want to see more role plays sooner rather than later. I have ideas. I always have ideas. I have so many ideas, but I have to just make myself do them. I've also been just so enthralled with writing my creative stuff for my book. It's been hard to kind of say, hey, I need to write a small short piece for this role play, and it's just made me extra unmotivated about it. That's like all my creative energy I'm just like funneling into this writing, and my other writing projects then get kind of kicked to the back burner. I hope some of this is relatable. So it sort of sounded like I said irrelatable, which is not a word as far as I'm aware. You'd think I would know. Yeah, so this was this chat. I hope that you're having a lovely day. It's nighttime while I'm recording this. I'm getting ready to make some dinner because I'm very hungry. My stomach's actually been like growling, and so hopefully that doesn't end up in the audio. If it does, well, I'm sorry. Yeah, so I think I'm gonna go either make a pizza or some steak. I don't know which one sounds better or easier. I might have to do the steak. I really feel like a carnivore tonight. Anyway, If you have something lovely to eat, you might want to indulge and have that. Otherwise, have a, a good evening or a good morning whenever you're listening to this. And yeah, you take care of yourself. Okay. Bye-bye.